In this world, there's a mysterious profession, become a hunter, and wealth and women come easy. But to earn that title, one must survive life-threatening trials, still some risk it all. Gan's father, Ging, was one of them. After Jeans left, he disappeared without a trace. To uncover the truth behind his father's vanishing, Gan decides to take the hunter exam. Worried for Gan's safety, Aunt Mito makes a deal with him. If he can catch the legendary Lord of the Lake, she'll let him go. Gan moves into a tree to fish, staying there for 2.5 years. But the bobber never budged. Just when everyone thought he'd give up, it suddenly dipped hard. Gan pulled with all his might, starting a fierce tug-of-war with the fish. In the end, he reeled it in and earned everyone's praise. Mito saw Jin's spirit in him and chose not to stop him anymore. So, with everyone cheering him on, Gan left his hometown for the first time, vowing to become the greatest hunter. He thought he was ready, but the first challenge came quicker than expected. That night, a storm hit. The boat rocked violently on the rough sea. Waves slammed against it, roaring non-stop, but the captain managed to steady it. When he checked the cabin, all the other applicants were seasick on the floor. Disappointed, the captain muttered about how weak this batch was. But then a voice caught his attention. It was Gan. Despite the chaos, Gan was not only fine, he was helping others. Besides Gan, the captain noticed 2 more oddballs, one calmly reading, the other chomping down on a peach. The captain grew curious about the 3 and invited them to his office for a chat. He learned the blonde one was Kurapika, and the one with glasses was Leorio. When asked why they were taking the hunter exam, Gan answered right away. It was to follow in his father's footsteps. Kurapika and Leorio stayed silent, but the captain didn't press. Instead, he told them they had failed the test, shocking them both. Turns out, the captain was an examiner. The moment they boarded, the exam had already begun. Everyone else had failed. Only the 3 of them remained. Kurapika quickly apologized. He revealed he's the last survivor of the Kurita clan, wiped out 4 years ago by the Phantom Troop. To avenge his family, he aims to become a bounty hunter. Leorio's reason was more material: mansions, luxury cars, endless bounty, and piles of cash. Kurapika scoffed at how shallow that sounded. Offended, Leorio challenged him to a fight, saying he'd end the last of the Kurita clan himself. Kurapika snapped and stormed after him, but just then a tornado appeared in the distance. If the ship got caught, it would be a disaster. The captain ordered the crew and Gan to stabilize the sails, but the wind was too strong, and one sailor got blown away. Seeing this, Leorio and Kurapika rushed to help. The 3 worked together and saved the man. After that, they built a solid friendship. Kurapika apologized, and Leorio admitted he went too far. That's how guys bond. Fight first, then move on. As thanks, the captain officially passed all 3, but this was only the beginning. Tougher and weirder trials were still ahead. Pick right, go to heaven. Pick wrong, go to hell. A man is asked if his girlfriend and mother both fell into a river, but he could only save one. Who would he save? He chooses his mom. She's irreplaceable, but girlfriends can be replaced. Shockingly, that awful answer passes. Leorio's furious. How could such a ridiculous question even have a correct answer? Kurapika suddenly realizes the point. It's a trick question, but before he can explain, the old lady cuts him off and warns that speaking out of turn will get him disqualified. Then comes another messed up question. Your son and daughter are both kidnapped, but you can only save one. Leorio grumbles and picks up a stick nearby, testing its weight. As time ticks down, Kurapika can only pray Leorio doesn't mess it up. Gan stays silent, deep in thought. When time runs out, Leorio finally snaps. None of the answers make sense. That's when it clicks. Silence was the right answer all along. These questions were never meant to be answered. The man who gave a reply was actually wrong, and the old lady sent him the wrong way. The real path was hidden in a room. The 3 set off again, but after 2.5 hours, they still hadn't reached the exam site. Tired and hungry, they spot a house nearby. They knock, no answer. Assuming no one's home, they push the door open and are met with a shocking scene. Just as they're spotted, a beast crashes through the window carrying a girl. Leorio stays behind to help, while Gan and Kurapika give chase into the woods. Gan knocks the beast with perfect force, not too hard, not too soft. Kurapika rescues the girl and while checking her injuries, notices a strange tattoo he's seen before. He's about to ask her identity when Leorio rushes in. The girl's asleep now, and he was worried about them, so he followed. Kurapika hadn't spotted the beast trail. He just assumed it was Leorio's fault for leaving the girl alone. That's why he attacked without hesitation. Meanwhile, Gan catches up to the beast. Even when it raises its claws, Gan stays calm, scanning the area, not afraid at all. Right then, he asks something unexpected. You're the navigators, aren't you? Turns out the whole family, including the beasts, are part of the exam. The parents disguised as monsters and the kids acted hurt. It was all a test. Kurapika passed by noticing the tattoo. Leorio, though clueless about the girl's identity, showed great medical skills and compassion. Gan's reflexes and awareness were beyond normal. All 3 passed, but this was only the beginning. Bigger stranger tests still lay ahead. a man bumped into someone and didn't apologize. The next second, he got taken out, because the guy he messed with was Hisoka, a full-blown killer. Gon and his friends were stunned, but Hisoka wasn't the only terrifying one in the hunter exam. There was Tompa, the gluttonous wrestler, Barbin, the snake tamer, and Buhara, the martial artist with serious skill despite his age. Then there were the Amori brothers, who had flawless teamwork and hadn't lost once. But the one with the most experience, Tompa, he'd taken the exam 35 times and failed everyone. He loved messing with newbies. As soon as Gon and the others walked in, Tompa targeted them, pretending to be friendly. He offered each of them a drink. What they didn't know was that he'd laced them with strong laxatives. Just as he thought his plan had worked, Gon spat out the drink. It had expired. Gon, who often trained with herbs in the mountains, had a sharp sense of smell. Kurapika and Leorio, hearing that, dumped their drinks too. Failing to trick them, Tompa turned to a boy named Killua. Killua downed 34 bottles without flinching. Tompa even started doubting the pills. Kella just smiled and said he loved the stuff. Just then a bell rang and a huge gate slowly opened. A man with a middle parting stepped out. This was Seitats, the examiner. The rule was simple: follow him to the second test site. But no one knew how far it was or how long it'd take. That uncertainty messed with people's heads. Still, all 404 applicants followed closely behind. Seitats walked in a weird way. It looked like a marathon, but it was really a brutal test. They had to run 100 kilometers in 4 hours, but the examiner never told them the distance between start and finish. After 2 hours and 30 kilometers, no one knew where the end was. Some started dropping out. Leorio was soaked in sweat but kept going. What annoyed him even more was seeing someone coasting on a scooter, cheating in his eyes. But Gon had a different take. The rule was to follow the examiner, not how to do it. Kella was impressed by Gon's thinking. After learning they were the same age, he got competitive. He ditched the board and challenged Gon to a foot race. After 4 hours, the contestants had already run 60 kilometers. In the dim tunnel, they kept running without knowing the destination. It was a test of both body and mind. The pressure felt like a mountain pressing down. With his energy drained, Leorio's breathing grew heavy. His legs felt like they were shackled. He could collapse at any moment. He started to doubt himself. Only one new hunter passes every 3 years. What chance did he have? Crushed by this thought, Leorio finally gave up. Seeing this, Gon immediately stopped. He didn't say a word, just looked at Leorio silently. Encouraged by Gon's gaze, Leorio suddenly regained his confidence and shot forward like a wild dog off its leash. He quickly caught up to Kurapika. Surprised by his determination, Kurapika asked why he wanted to be a hunter. Even though they hadn't known each other long, Kurapika didn't think Leorio was shallow. Seeing Leorio stay silent, Kurapika decided to open up first. He revealed that the Kurita clan had a unique trait. Their eyes turned blood red when emotionally stirred. Those scarlet eyes were highly prized on the black market. The Phantom Troop attacked the Kurita for them, wiping out the entire clan. Kurapika was the sole survivor. Even after all these years, he couldn't forget the hollow eyes of his friends. For revenge, he was willing to throw away his pride. Hearing this, Leorio opened up too. He did want money, but not for selfish reasons. Years ago, his close friend caught a minor illness, but without money for treatment. He died in Leorio's arms. Since then, Leorio swore to become a doctor and treat poor children for free. But that takes a lot of money. Without realizing it, they'd run an extra 20 kilometers. Just then, Seitats picked up the pace. It might be the final stretch. The others sped up too. Gon and Killua started racing, betting that the loser would treat the winner to a meal of century-old pickled food. After a tight finish, both crossed the line at the same time. The rest soon followed. But the joy didn't last. Seitats told them this was only halfway. To reach the second test site, they had to cross a swamp. Home to cunning, man-eating creatures, these beasts used deception and teamwork to lure and trap prey. It was known as the Swindler's Nest. Suddenly, cries for help rang out. A bloodied man appeared, claiming Seitats was a fake and that he was the real examiner. He dragged over someone who looked just like Seitats. These swamp creatures, too weak to fight alone, transform into humans and use sweet words to lure people into traps, then team up to devour them. The man's story caused suspicion. No one could tell who was real. Then Hisoka suddenly attacked Seitats. If the man couldn't block Hisoka's blow, he couldn't be a real examiner, but Seitats dodged it with ease. That proved he was genuine. Only real hunters could take the hit. Leaving the dark tunnel behind, the group entered the Swindler's Nest, but only 368 remained. How many would make it through this next deadly trial? If you think this is just a regular playing card, you're dead wrong. In Hisoka's hands, it's a deadly weapon. He could kill someone in 10 steps and disappear without a trace. That's the fearsome power of the bathroom god of war, Hisoka. And the people he killed, they had it coming. The moment everyone stepped into the forest, a thick fog rolled in like it was ready to swallow everything whole. As the fog deepened, human greed began to surface. Some contestants plotted to take down the biggest threat, Hisoka, sensing the tension. Killua warned Gon to keep their distance. They rushed ahead. Leorio and Kurapika, low on stamina, started falling behind. While running, they looked up and saw a figure ahead suddenly lose its head. No one knew what just happened. Then strawberries floated in the air. Someone moved in to check, only to be snatched by a strange beast right after a scream rang out. It was a forest dweller, deceptive predators that sent the forest into chaos. People screamed and scattered. Leorio got bitten but managed to dodge behind a tree. Kurapika reacted fast and stabbed the creature in the eye, saving Leorio. But before they could run far, they saw Hisoka killing someone. Out of the frying pan, into the fire, as Hisoka walked toward them, both froze in fear. The moment Hisoka close, they split up and ran. An instinct Hisoka praised, but just moments later, Leorio came back. He couldn't stand the idea of running without even trying to fight. With a shout, he charged at Hisoka. Just as Hiso was about to finish him off, a fishing rod hook hit his face. It was Gon. He had returned to help his friends and somehow managed to land a hit. Hisoka praised Gon, amused. Meanwhile, Leorio tried to sneak up on him, only to be sent flying by one punch. Gon also launched an attack, but the difference in power was too big. Hisoka easily blocked everything. Gon then tried a trick. He slammed his rod into the ground to kick up dust for cover, but as he moved behind Hisoka, the man grabbed him by the neck. Watching Gon struggle in his grasp, Hisoka smiled in satisfaction. But instead of killing him, he let go just before Gon passed out, telling him to be more careful. Confused, Gon could only stare. Hisoka, seeing that Gon could still move, picked up Leorio and walked away. Kurapika soon reunited with Gon, and thanks to Gon's sharp sense of smell, they found their way to the second test site. After that brutal round, only 148 of the original 368 contestants remained. Soon, everyone reached the second phase. Compared to the first deadly trial, this one seemed ridiculously easy. Just catch some forest pigs and cook a dish that satisfies the judges. The group rushed out the gates, but what they didn't know was that this simple task was a trap. The forest pigs, known as great nose hogs, were famous for being vicious and aggressive. Within moments, 67 contestants were sent flying by stampeding pigs. They were like tanks on legs. To survive, contestants used every skill they had, but rocks and darts bounced right off the pigs' tough noses. Gon tried using his fishing rod, only to be launched by a charging pig. He barely dodged it, and the pig rammed into a tree, then got knocked out by a falling watermelon. That's when Gon realized something. He grabbed his rod and smacked the pig on the forehead, watching the pig collapse. Others finally understood. Their tough noses were evolved to protect their weak foreheads. With the pig's weakness exposed, the contestants used their strengths and quickly carried the hogs back to the test site. But that was just the beginning. Even though Buhara was happily stuffing his face, Menchi took one bite and gave them a big red X. The meat was overcooked, chewy, and flavorless. One by one, more dishes were rejected. Seeing this, Kurapika noticed a pattern. The meals lacked creativity. A few contestants started putting effort into original dishes. After trying everything, Menchi announced that no one passed. The contestants were furious. How could all their effort be dismissed like that? Things were getting heated, so Chairman Netero stepped in. He agreed the test was too harsh and decided to change the task and give them another shot. Under Menchi's lead, everyone headed to Mount Matazu to protect a rare delicacy, spiders' eggs from predators. The grape spider nests in deep ravines, and gathering its eggs is dangerous. This time, the goal was to make soft-boiled eggs from them. Without warning, Menchi leapt into the ravine and grabbed a spider thread. Everyone gasped, fearing for his life. He just hung there, waiting. Then his bangs moved slightly. Menchi let go and dropped like a stone. Just when it seemed he'd crash, a powerful updraft blew him back up. Seeing he was fine, Gon and his friends jumped in. Afraid of missing the eggs, the rest followed. They all hung on threads. One person panicked and let go too early. Lario was about to follow, but Gon warned him, "Not yet, the wind isn't constant." Sure enough, the first person fell straight to the bottom. With too many people, the threads were about to snap. Just as they hit the limit, Gon smelled the wind and told everyone to let go. The updraft lifted them safely back to the surface, with eggs in hand. They finally tasted the legendary dream eggs. Only 42 contestants remained. Next, they boarded an airship to the third phase. But the moment they got on, Kala and Gon challenged Netero to a fight. What happened next? This silver-haired boy was only 12, yet already a master of assassination. He used footwork tricks to create afterimages and confuse opponents. The moment he found an opening, Killa launched a fierce attack. But don't let Netero's skinny frame fool you. His body was unbelievably agile. No matter how fast Killa moved, he couldn't even graze Netero. Instead, he kept getting toyed with. Kala began to question if this gold man was even human. Netero didn't hold back the trash talk either. Frustrated that he couldn't even beat an old man, Killa went for his legs, hoping to limit his movement. But instead of landing a hit, Killa screamed in pain. His foot felt like it hit solid steel. Then it was Gon's turn. After a quick warm-up, he charged ahead at full speed. But to Netero, it looked like slow motion. Gon tried to fake him out by jumping overhead, but crashed headfirst into the ceiling and rolled on the floor in pain. Watching from the side, Kella cursed in frustration. They only had one shot, and it was wasted. With no choice, the two teamed up for a full-force attack. Their goal was to grab the ball in Netero's hand, because he told them whoever got it would instantly become a licensed hunter. They gave it everything they had, but Netero didn't even break a sweat. Gon knew they had to do more, so he charged again, this time using his sock to extend his reach and landed a surprise hit on Netero's chin. Killa followed with a kick from behind and launched Netero into the air. Just when they were about to grab the ball, Netero suddenly flashed like lightning and snatched it back. The scorch marks on the floor made Killua realize the gap was too big. He gave up, saying even a year wouldn't be enough to beat him. Kella left the room, but Gon still wanted another try. Even if he couldn't win, he at least wanted to force Netero to use one hand. The rematch began. Gon increased his speed again. He went for the ball with his hands, but secretly used his head as a weapon. It worked. He actually hit Netero, though it hurt so much he teared up. He went for a second headbutt. Seeing how reckless Gon was, Netero got nervous. If he blocked it with full strength, Gon might break his skull. If he didn't, it'd hurt like hell. In the end, Netero decided to dodge. Poor Gon rammed straight into the wall, but he was smiling. He had confirmed Netero used his right hand. With that, Gon collapsed on the floor and happily fell asleep. Meanwhile, a frustrated Killa encountered two unlucky guys. Their next challenge was to get down from a 500-meter tower within 72 hours. A pro climber tried scaling down, but was instantly eaten by flying beasts with human faces. Climbing clearly wasn't an option. Kurapika checked the ground and noticed that certain tiles felt lighter when stepped on. That's when they discovered a hidden trapdoor into the tower. Thinking there were separate paths, they each jumped in, only to all end up in the same room. Awkward. Soon they saw a sign. All 5 of you must follow the majority rule to advance. Below it were 5 timers, and a voice came through a speaker in the wall. Turns out this tower was actually a prison. Their test was now under the watch of Warden Lipo. The tower had many routes, but they could only move forward if the group voted as one. First, they had to find a 5th member. After 2 boring hours, someone finally dropped in. Tampa, the so-called rookie killer. With Tampa in, the door appeared and the vote began. Tampa chose to reject the path. When Leorio found out, Tampa lied and said he pressed the wrong button. Furious, Leorio threatened to kick him out next time. Killa wasn't too worried, they just needed 4 people to vote the same. But he didn't know Tampa would cause even bigger problems later on. Kella stepped out and reached a dead-end platform surrounded by a bottomless pit. Across from it stood masked prisoners. Then, Warden Lipo's voice rang out. They were inmates, and also the proctors for this test. Killua's group would each face a one-on-one challenge. With only 1 chance per person, they could choose the rules of each match, but there would be no draws. Either you win or lose. If 3 members won, the team would pass. To make things harder, Lipo promised the prisoners a reduced sentence, 1 hour off for every hour they delayed Gon's team. Since Gon's group had only 72 hours, it became a battle against time. The first opponent was a bald man with a 2.5-year sentence. Without knowing the enemy's strategy, going first was a big risk. Kurapika was ready to go, but Tampa stepped up. He said the others didn't trust him, so they wouldn't let him take the final round. Better to go first and test the waters. He spoke so righteously, even Leorio was touched. Both sides sent in their first fighters. It was to be a fight to the end, until one gave up. Tampa didn't waste time. As the match started, he instantly kneeled and surrendered. Furious, Leorio grabbed his collar and demanded to know why. But Tampa calmly said it was intentional. He wasn't there to pass the exam. He came for the thrill. He enjoyed crushing rookies' dreams. That was how he felt alive. Leorio was even more enraged. Thanks to Tampa's sabotage, the prisoner scored the first win. This was a real psychological test. If you can answer it correctly, you could get into China's top schools. You're given 2 candles, 1 long and 1 short. Which one burns out first? Most would say the short one. But then you second to guess, what if the long one was tampered with? Or maybe that's what they want you to think. You end up stuck. It seems like a simple choice, but it's really a psychological trap. When forced to choose between 2 extremes, people hesitate out of fear of being wrong. And when they do make a mistake, the emotional blow hits even harder. The opponent Saturday down casually, taunting Gon to increase the pressure. Rather than suffer in silence, Kurapika gave Gon the choice. Gon picked the long candle, reasoning that longer meant it would burn longer. His logic stunned everyone, strange but hard to argue with. The match began. Both candles were lit. If there was no trick, Gon would surely win. Just then, a gust of wind blew from the bottom of the tower. Gon's candle flared up into a raging flame. At this rate, it would burn out in under 2 minutes. The opponent had clearly rigged it. Turns out the 2 candles from earlier were decoys he'd prepared for all along. No matter what Gon chose, he'd end up with a tampered one, a dirty trick. But Gon wasn't mad. He grinned. Bigger flame meant better wind resistance. He put the candle down and dashed forward. Before the opponent could react, Gon blew out his candle in one breath. In a flash of brilliance, Gon turned the trap into an opportunity and won a point for his team. Next up was Kurapika, and his opponent was Zoldyck, a hulking brute who looked like a blue giant. As soon as he stepped up, Zoldyck tried to intimidate Kurapika by pointing to 19 scars on his chest, each representing someone he'd killed. One more, and Kurapika would be number 20. But Kurapika stayed calm and asked about the battle format. Zoldyck thought Kurapika was just pretending to be brave and proposed a deathmatch, no stopping until someone surrendered or died. He figured this would scare Kurapika off, but Kurapika agreed without hesitation and even took off his jacket, surprising Zoldyck. Things weren't going as he expected. Was Kurapika really not afraid? Trying to regain control, Zoldyck added that weapons weren't allowed, and they'd be fighting barehanded. Kurapika, unfazed, reached behind and pulled out 2 batons. Zoldyck was shocked Kurapika actually carried weapons. Now, if he wanted Kurapika to surrender, he'd have to use his trump cards. Zoldyck took a deep breath, causing his already huge muscles to bulge even more. Leorio got nervous, but Killa said Zoldyck was all bark and no bite. He probably didn't even have the guts to fight, let alone kill. Suddenly, Zoldyck lunged forward, throwing a punch the size of a loaf of bread. Kurapika dodged, and the floor cracked under Zoldyck's fist. Then Zoldyck turned to reveal his second trump card, a 12-legged spider tattoo on his back. Every hunter hopeful knows this is the symbol of the Phantom Troop. Seeing it, Kurapika dropped to one knee. Zoldyck assumed he was about to surrender and started celebrating. But flashing that tattoo in front of Kurapika was the biggest mistake of his life, though he knew it was fake. Kurapika's rage boiled over at the sight. With one punch, Kurapika knocked Zoldyck out cold. Just hearing the words Phantom Troop triggered his fury and he lost control. With 3 matches done, Gon's team now had the lead. One more win and they'd cleared this test. But next was Leorio, and the challenge involved seduction. How would he hold up? Leorio was already furious. Kurapika had clearly won, but the prisoners argued the match wasn't over since Zoldyck was still alive. He had only fainted, not surrendered or died. According to the rules, the match isn't over until one side gives up or dies. Gon and Killua agreed, so Leorio told Kurapika to finish Zoldyck off, but Kurapika refused. He said they'd already secured the win. Zoldyck had tried to surrender before being knocked out, but Kurapika let his emotions take over, hitting a defeated opponent cross the line. He couldn't bring himself to do it again. He'd rather wait for Zoldyck to wake up and surrender. Leorio exploded. They were on a tight schedule and couldn't afford to waste time. But no matter how much he pleaded, Kurapika didn't budge. Even when Leorio asked for a show of hands, no one supported him. Frustrated and out of options, Leorio could only sit on the ground and stew in silence. Meanwhile, on the other side, Hisoka pushed open the door and entered a small room. Sitting across was an examiner he had defeated last time. The examiner was hellbent on killing Hisoka to erase his shame, shouting chaotic slogans, but Hisoka calmly caught the prized throwing knife. Twirling the knife, Hisoka taunted, "Since you can't dodge, then bring it on." The examiner was shocked to see Hisoka masterfully wield the unlimited 4-blade style he had trained for 2.5 years. Hisoka was even better. Defeat was all that awaited him. In the end, Hisoka became the first to pass the 3rd phase of the Hunter exam at 16 hours and 17 minutes, cruising through effortlessly. Meanwhile, Gon's group had been waiting 56 hours because Kurapika refused to finish off the unconscious Zoldyck. Leorio suspected Zoldyck was dead, but the prisoners claimed he was only unconscious and proposed a time-based wager. If Gon's side lost, their exit time would be cut by 50 hours. If prisoners lost, it would be extended by 5 hours. Kurapika warned Leorio to be cautious, but Leorio grumbled and started the bet. First wagering 10 hours that Zoldyck was alive, then 20 hours that he would wake up, but couldn't prove he wasn't faking and got stuck. Leorio dragged Zoldyck to the platform edge to threaten him, but was psychologically outplayed by the prisoners. When Leorio tried to guess the gender of Rayviat to satisfy his curiosity, Rowlet exploited his mindset of better to lose the game than be at a disadvantage. During a rock-paper-scissors match, Rowlet bet 80 hours against Leorio's 10 and eventually broke Leorio's spirit, not only losing the score but also losing 50 hours. With the score tied 2-2, tension exploded inside the prisoners before the final round. Zoldyck, using his size to bully the old man, was slammed into the wall by the dismemberer Johnny, who left deep scratches on the surface. Facing Johnny, who was 34 times his size, Chia stayed calm with hands in his pockets. While Johnny was still trash-talking, Chia flashed behind him, ripped out his heart with one move, then kindly returned it. With that, Chia's team won 3-2 and passed the stage, but because Leorio lost 50 hours, they had to wait out the penalty in the Black Room, leaving them less than an hour to reach the finish line. After a tough journey, the group reached the last stage. 2 paths, one for all 5 to travel, taking 45 hours, the other a fast route for only 3. requiring two to be handcuffed and eliminated. A clash broke out between Tompa and Leorio. At a critical moment, Gon discovered the axe could break walls, so they chose the long path, broke through a wall, and entered the shortcut. All five cleared it in 71 hours and 59 minutes. With round 3 over, only 24 candidates remained, about to face round 4, the hunting game. Each of the 24 drew number tags, their own number and target's number each worth 3 points, others worth 1 point. They must gather 6 points in 1 week on the island. This rule put Gon in a tough spot. His number tag was Hisoka's, a wild card with explosive fighting skills. Gon had suffered against him before and still had mental scars. How could he avoid a fight yet get Hisoka's tag and walk away unscathed? Just then, Gon noticed someone hunting nearby. Barcool emerged from the grass, aimed his bow, and fired. Red Nose felt a deadly presence behind him. But it was too late. His shoulder was slashed. Though it missed a vital spot, Barcool had coated the blade with poison, and Red Nose quickly fell. A perfect hunt. Inspired by Barcool, Gon now had to find Hisoka, but the forest was huge. Where to look? Suddenly, Gon saw a swarm of bloodthirsty butterflies attracted to his wound. He remembered Hisoka was once injured too. Maybe this was a clue. Following the butterflies, Gon finally found Hisoka. Seeing him made Gon tremble with fear, but he forced himself to stay calm. Now wasn't the time to strike, he had to wait. Meanwhile, Leorio and Tompa crossed paths again. Just as Leorio was about to attack, Tompa showed his number tag, claiming his target wasn't Leorio and faked a stomachache to trade intel for medicine. Leorio trusted him and opened his box, but suddenly, Tompa's number tag fell out and a monkey snatched it before he could react. It was another trick. Tompa's target was actually the tag Leorio held. After being fooled repeatedly, Leorio couldn't stand it and chased Tompa. As Tompa gloated, Pikachu, who had been waiting nearby, kicked him away and tied him up. Pikachu and Leorio also captured Maro and gave him a beating. Back with Gon, he waited for the right moment. A man covered in steel nails walked oddly. When he pulled out the nails, his face changed, and he dug a hole to crawl inside. He would sleep there for days. Hisoka held the man's tag and needed just 2 more points to reach the finals. Climbing to the top, Hisoka hunted prey and soon spotted the isolated Pikachu and Leorio. Hisoka charged, and Gon quietly followed. Gon's plan was to steal Hisoka's tag when he attacked. But if Hisoka attacked Leorio or Pikachu, Gon would intervene, even if it meant exposing himself. Leorio and Pikachu confronted Hisoka. Immediately on guard, Hisoka said he only needed 2 points. Pikachu and Leorio had 4 tags total. 2 were Hisoka's, 1 Pikachu's target, and the last worth 1 point. Knowing neither he nor Leorio could beat Hisoka tied up, Pikachu was willing to give up the last tag. But if Hisoka wanted them all, they'd have to fight. Hisoka just laughed. Impressed by how much they'd improved in a few days, things were getting interesting. Finally, Hisoka agreed to Pikachu's request. Pikachu dropped his tag, and he and Leorio quickly left. Gon was relieved not to be discovered. Hisoka was just 1 point short, meaning Gon had only 1 chance left to strike. Suddenly, Hisoka released a deadly aura, filling the air with suffocating pressure. Gon's face showed pure terror, his legs shaking uncontrollably until dawn. Only then did Hisoka suppress his killing intent, looking like a walking corpse. Fearing Hisoka might strike again, Gon rushed ahead to find Hisoka's target first and prepare. Soon, Gon spotted an unlucky passerby and waited at their meeting point. Just as Gon expected, Hisoka charged like a starving mad dog seeing food without hesitation. As they closed in, Gon quickly swung a fishing hook between them and pulled. The hook scraped Hisoka's chest, taking his tag. When Hisoka killed the passerby, the tag landed firmly in Gon's hand. Hisoka was stunned. He never expected someone to beat him to it. Gon fled immediately but soon felt a sharp pain in his neck. His body went numb and he collapsed. Since arriving on the island, someone had been watching him. After Gon stole Hisoka's tag, Black Gara came out to finish him off. After all Gon's planning, it was all for nothing. But Black Gara didn't get far before Hisoka dragged him back. Though Hisoka lost the tag, he praised Gon and gave him all the stolen tags. Black Gara was Hisoka's target, with 6 points now. Hisoka's own tag was useless. It was like Gon owed him. Gon refused to accept this and even tried to resist. The next moment, Hisoka punched him hard, sending his broken body flying hundreds of meters before stopping. It turned out that the moment they clashed, Chia had already stolen the man's number tag. Realizing the white-haired kid wasn't easy to deal with, the Mori brothers dropped their usual cold stares and decided to surround Chia. This tactic had never failed them before, but Chia suddenly had a flash of insight. He appeared behind Mori II and gently kicked him down, then pressed sharp fingers like knives against his throat. Mori I had no choice but to hand over his number tag. Chia only took the target tag to teach them a lesson. He threw the other 2 tags in different directions. Meanwhile, Gon and Leorio regrouped. Only Leorio hadn't reached the required points yet, and with just 1 day left before the competition ended, He had to find his target tag. Following Gon's keen tracking, they quickly found Ponzu hiding in a cave. Liurio told Gon and Pikachu to wait outside while he went in to check. If he didn't return in half an hour, they'd go in. But just 10 minutes later, Liurio's screams came from inside. Without hesitation, Gon and Pikachu rushed into the cave, only to gasp at the scene. Liurio was lying on the ground, covered in wounds, with severed snakes scattered nearby. 2 others were inside too, Bapan sitting quietly, and Ponzu hiding in a corner. Before they could react, Ponzu warned them not to act rashly or they'd end up like Liurio. This was Bapan's trap. Anyone trying to leave would be attacked by venomous snakes. The longer they delayed, the worse Liurio's condition became. Pikachu promised Bapan they'd hand over all the number tags if they let them leave, but Ponzu said it was useless. Bapan was already dead. Since they couldn't leave, Pikachu tried to see if Bapan had any antidote, but as he reached out, countless snakes crawled out of the dark, guarding Bapan's body. Now they were trapped. No escape, no cure. Ponzu had followed Bapan because Bapan was his target. From the moment they reached the island, Ponzu kept close, planning to use gas to hypnotize Bapan and grab the tag while he was unconscious. But Bapan set a trap before sleeping. When Ponzu touched him, the snakes attacked, not biting but causing Ponzu to scream, alerting bees hiding in his hat. The bees unintentionally killed Bapan. With Bapan dead, no one could control the snakes. The only option was to wait until the competition ended to report this to the Hunter Association. Though only one day remained, Liurio's condition was too serious to last. As Pikachu wondered what to do, Gon stood up and walked toward Bapan's body, then reached out to grab it. Ponzu was terrified. He'd never seen anyone so reckless. Gon was covered in snakes, but quickly found an antidote serum. After giving it to Pikachu, he collapsed from exhaustion. Once they injected both Gon and Liurio with the serum, Gon's first question upon waking was whether Ponzu still had the hypnotic gas. Gon planned to use it to hypnotize the snakes, then rallying on his strong breath-holding ability, carry all 3 of them out. Afterward, Gon secretly took Ponzu's number tag as a transport fee. Ultimately, 9 people passed the 4th exam and entered the final round. However, the final match rules were unusual, though it was a one-on-one knockout format. Winning one match qualified you, meaning winners dropped out while losers kept fighting until only one person was left unqualified. But the rules were fair. Everyone had at least 2 chances to win. In the first match of the finals, young Gon faced Hanzo. Knowing he was weaker, Gon tried to keep his distance, but Hanzo's speed was even faster. He was behind Gon in an instant. Then a hand strike hit Gon's neck hard, making him dizzy and knocking him to the ground. Just one round revealed the clear gap between them. The rules said no casualties during the match. Victory came only if the opponent surrendered first. You couldn't force them to quit, you had to find a way to wear them down. But Gon gritted his teeth and refused to give up no matter what Hanzo did. Frustrated, Hanzo punched Gon hard in the stomach. Gon curled up in pain like a boiled shrimp, but soon shakily stood up again. Seeing Gon still fighting, Hanzo hit him with another punch to the stomach and then kicked him away before he could rise. It wasn't just a beating, it was a one-sided crushing. Watching Gon get beaten like this, Liurio was furious, veins bulging, itching to jump in and beat Hanzo up. Gon weakened, nearly vomiting blood, but still never gave in. Seeing this stubbornness, Hanzo's eyes turned cold. He tripped Gon and threatened, "Give up now, or I'll break your left arm." But Gon's gaze stayed steady as he shouted he wouldn't quit. Hanzo didn't hold back and proved his threat. Liurio, watching Gon writhe in pain on the ground, was like a volcano ready to erupt. Teeth clenched, fists tight, bloodshot eyes, ready to fight Hanzo himself. To show Gon the gap, Hanzo shared his background. Born into a ninja family, trained rigorously from birth, never stopped for 18 years. When he was Gon's age, he was already swinging a kitchen knife on the streets. No matter how hard Gon resisted, he wasn't a match. Hanzo said this hoping Gon would surrender. But before he finished, Gon kicked him hard in the face. As the saying goes, even a clay idol has some temper. Hanzo lost patience completely. He drew a steel blade from his sleeve, threatening to cut off Gon's leg so he'd never stand again. What Gon said next stunned everyone. He claimed that if his leg was cut and he bled out, Hanzo would be disqualified too. Such a rogue move. Hanzo had never met someone so shameless. At that moment, Gon felt like a bitter pill stuck in his mouth. Can't swallow, can't spit out, and it drove Hanzo mad. Pointing the blade at Gon's forehead, Hanzo warned, "Surrender now, and you can try again next year, lose your life, and that's it." But Gon stayed as steady as a rock, staring calmly. That drove Hanzo insane. He couldn't understand what made Gon keep going, even risking his life. Gon said he wanted to see his father and become a hunter like him. Only by becoming a hunter would he have a chance. Seeing Gon's determined eyes, Hanzo finally surrendered, not wanting more suffering. But Gon wasn't happy about winning this way and demanded a rematch, saying this win felt shameful and unworthy. Instead, Hanzo responded with an angry punch. 第17部分，伊尔迷登场与猎人考试落幕。A man was covered in steel nails all over his body, but when he pulled them out, Chia's face showed pure horror. It was his brother, Anikia. The third son of the Zoljak family was the most talented assassin in their history, destined to become the next head of the family. Because of this, the family spoiled Chia, even forbidding him from making friends. This twisted love suffocated Chia. To break free from his family's control, Chia stabbed his brother and mother, then ran off alone to take the hunter exam. Unexpectedly, he met Irnikia there. To force Chia home, Anikia hypnotized him, constantly suggesting that Chia wasn't fit to be a hunter and that being an assassin was his true calling. An assassin should be emotionless, a puppet without humanity, living in the shadows and enjoying pushing others to their limits. How could someone like that be a hunter? Iranchia's words echoed like a spell in Chia's mind, causing inner turmoil. Chia said he was tired of being an assassin and wanted to pursue something else, like becoming friends with Gon. Just normal friends who played together, but Irnikia kept pressuring him. People like you don't have friends. You're only friends with Gon because he's useful to you. The day he's not useful, you'll kill him without hesitation. You don't really want to be friends because you're a killer through and through. As Chia almost fell under Irnikia's control, Leorio shouted, "You don't need to prove your friendship with Gon. You two are already friends." Leorio's words snapped Chia back to reality. Seeing Chia break free, Irnikia planned to kill Gon, but Leorio, Hanzo, and Gon blocked him. And Chia realized the seriousness of the situation. Because of his job, he needed a hunter license, and killing now would get him immediately disqualified. So he decided to wait until after the exam to kill Gon. Chia knew Irnikia could really do it. For Gon's safety, Chia voluntarily surrendered. Anikia laughed happily and said it was just a joke, praising Chia's performance and promising to return home after the exam. Under Irnikia's influence, Chia's mind grew foggy, and murderous urges surged. He took his anger out on Bodaro, killing him in an instant, which caused Chia to lose his hunter exam qualification. When Gon woke up and learned what happened, he angrily confronted Irnikia, demanding he apologize to Chia and reveal his whereabouts. When Irnikia refused, Chia grabbed him off his chair. Irnikia tried to break free, but was shocked. Gon's grip was like iron, impossible to escape. Irankia told them Chia had already gone home, to Kukuru Mountain. With that, the hunter exam officially ended. Out of 4 of 5 participants, only 7 became hunters. Afterward, Hanzo said goodbye to Gon and the others, preparing to return to his country. Before leaving, he gave Gon a business card, inviting them to visit his hometown. Vidoro dreamed of traveling the world to find all kinds of unknown creatures and become a beast hunter. Meanwhile, Gon and friends planned to head to Kukuru Mountain to find Chia. Thus, the hunter exam came to an end.